Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, August 16th. It is 6:22 right now. Market's gonna open in about 8 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. Just got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. All right, looks good. Let me have this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, perfect. Looks like we're good to go. So as people join in, go ahead and start market liquidity over here. Going down to the 8-hour. Down to the 4-hour. Going down to the 2-hour. Down to the 1-hour. Down to the 30-minute. Down to the 15-minute. Down to the 10-minute. Back down to the 1-minute. And it looks like we are good to go. All right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, August 16th. Happy Friday, everyone. Time is 6:26 right now. Market's going to open up in about 4 minutes. I've marked up liquidity over here. Closest level of liquidity above is at 40,660, and the closest level below is at 40,546. So we're pretty far from, well, not super far, but we're decently far from the levels of liquidity here. So what happens here is if price pushes up any higher, the target price point is going to be these sessions up here. That's going to be the first target. And if it pushes up any higher, it's going to be the sessions up here. We have a bunch of liquidity sitting around this area, so it's going to be useful to us. And we'll see what happens here when the market opens. So I've marked up liquidity right there. I think there was news this morning. So there was news over here at 5:30. It was building permits negative. We have news at 7, high impact, and that's about it. So 5:30 news and more news at 7 o'clock. So news right here. 5:30 candle. Some high impact news right here at 7 o'clock. So I'll see if we get some entries here from now until then. Ideally, I'd rather have some entries between 6:30 and 7. And then we'll go from there. So we got about, let's see, we got 3 minutes till market open. Let's see who's here so far. Morning, Adam. Morning, Bamal. Morning, Rashida. Morning, everybody. All right, so Looking at the news from this morning, pretty big drop over here. 5:30, it dropped about almost 100 points. Corrected back up already though, so it's almost back to where it was supposed to be. We got 3 minutes till market open. Looking at CNBC, everything's pretty much flat for the most part. It's not super heavy to the downside. We have the Dow currently down 72 points, S&P down 20 points, NASDAQ down 85 points. Oil is slightly down, and the 10-year bond is down as well. Looking over here at retail sentiment is currently 74% short. This indicates that 74% of retail traders are currently selling right now. So we typically do the opposite in buys. So ideally, I'd like to take some buys today. If that's not the case, it's completely fine, but I'd rather lean towards buys today. Looking over here at the other time frame. So the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute are currently bearish. You can see prices below the pivots. 30 minute here is shifting to bearish, but it might be bouncing back up. Looking over here at the 1 hour and 4 hour time frames are still bullish. So the very high time frames, 1 hour and 4 hours, still bullish, while the 30 minute is shifting to bearish. And all the shorter time frames are bearish here as well. So we might get a shift back to the upside. If not, doesn't really matter to us. We can trade in either direction. But this is just a bigger picture here with regards to higher time frames and lower time frames. So lower time frames are bearish, higher time frames are bullish neutral. And it looks like we are good to go. So market's about to open up shortly, guys. We got price currently below the pivots. Trend meter is currently neutral. It's blue right now. Divergence is bearish. We'll see if this holds or if it pushes right back up. My guess is that price is going to push right back up. We have a V1 variation right here that's currently pending. So if this candle closes green, possible reversal to the upside. If it doesn't, possible continuation to the downside. So it looks like that's not going to happen, and price looks like it may be attempting to shift even lower from where it's currently at, or I guess not, swing right back up right here. So market is now open. We had a V1 variation pattern right there. Price is pushing up to the next level of liquidity up there. Liquidity just got hit, bounced off the sessions. Again, this is a red flag area. You can see price is trying to get past that red line right there, which is the London high. Having trouble getting past it, that's normal. That's why we don't trade at the sessions. All right, so we got price kind of just bouncing around this area. Price broke right through it. There goes the sessions. Bouncing directly off it again. And we'll see what happens here. So we may get a possible market flow entry if price comes down and bounces off the pivot down here. That's what I'll be looking for, possibly. Gotta be quick though. So I'll be watching it. Got about 2 seconds left on here. Let it come down a little more. Put my pending order right there.
Order submitted.
I don't think it got filled, guys. No, I didn't get filled. Let me cancel it. Okay, so it was a market flow or entry right there, guys. I tried to get in, but again, it happened way too quickly. Did exactly what I was looking for too, unfortunately. So price came down and bounced off the pivot right there. Just a little too slow, missed the entry. But it would have been a nice full TP right there. So let's wait for the next one. Yeah, that thing was moving way too fast. It was almost impossible for me to get into that one. But if you guys got it, nice work. If I entered market, it would have went in, but it's all good. Still in the pending orders. So liquidity right here got hit. If you guys took any of these levels of liquidity, full TPs on both. Price is currently at the sessions now. Keep looking for the next opportunity here. Again, this isn't an area where I recommend trading. So if you guys want to trade in this area, feel free, but I'm not going to trade around this area. We have a bunch of sessions up here. We got the next sessions right there, which is the Asia low. So if price pushes any higher, next target's going to be right there, might bounce directly off it. And we'll see where it goes from this point. Keep in mind, guys, today's Friday, so be careful with your entries. So if you guys take liquidity right there, hit full TP again. So depending on which levels of liquidity you guys are looking at, another full TP right there for liquidity. So 3 back-to-back liquidities right there. They all hit pretty much. Now we're kind of stuck in this area where there's a bunch of sessions. So you want to be a little careful with your entries here. If price touches the sessions or it has to touch the sessions, you probably want to think twice before entering because it's an area of manipulation, this whole area up here. We got the London high here, Asia low, and the New York high above. So if price comes back down lower right here, I'm not going to be able to take this as an entry because as you guys can see, it is most likely going to have to reach the sessions up there. Unless it comes down this far. So if it comes down pretty low, then possibly an opportunity. But if it closes right here, obviously not going to be the case because there are sessions here. And you can see how price is having trouble getting past the sessions as we speak. So had trouble getting past the red sessions right here, which is the London high. And again, right here, had trouble getting past the Asia low. So here we are back down here. There's not going to be any opportunity for entry, at least not for me. If you guys want to take it, feel free to take your entries. But for me personally, not going to take the entries, of course. All right, so it's bouncing off the pivot right there. I was thinking for these market flows, I might be able to even get in a little earlier below the, like when price comes down and touch the pivot. It's a little trickier, but I'm going to watch the market to see. Because a lot of times it bounces directly off the pivot. I mean, it's hard to get an exact entry, but typically it'll bounce off the pivot and come right back up. Not in this case, of course, because it's touching the sessions right there. Like I said, whenever price is touching the sessions or it has to touch the sessions, you probably want to avoid it because you're going to get some manipulation there. So for example, price came up here to this red pivot or to this red line over here, which is the London high, bounced directly off it. Again, it came up here to the purple line, which is the Asia low, bounced directly off it again. We had a possible market flow entry right here, but it was right at the news price, so I didn't take it. Looks like it's probably going to hit. Yeah, full TP right there if anybody decided to catch that. This whole area right here is just a tricky area to be trading in, guys. The news price isn't necessarily like a big price point to be careful for, but the sessions for sure. You can see over here, price rejected directly off the news price, that pink line. There's just a lot of areas for price to bounce from. So if you do want to take market flow entries, there's a lot of structures you can look for. You can look for pivots, you can look for news, you can look for opening price, you can look for sessions. It's just up to your preference for what you're looking for. For me personally, I like to look at the pivots mainly because the pivots are less likely to be manipulated. Price tends to bounce off the pivots, but it doesn't tend to get manipulated when it bounces off those price points. Let's see, Drew got a 15-point bounce off the 4640. Nice. Solid work right there, Drew. And that's exactly what I was mentioning earlier, right? The bounce off the pivot. When it bounces off the pivot, it typically bounces right back up. So if you guys want to take the bounces off the pivots, you guys can do that as well. It's just up to your preference. For me personally, the market flows are basically bounces off pivots, but I get in a little later. If you want to get directly off the bounce, you can do that as well. And if you just follow price, so if you see prices consistently bouncing off the pivot like previously, if you look over your pre-market, then okay, it's probably a good decision to take entries off that. I think the bounces off level 2 are pretty nice too. Usually like they bounce off pretty solid. So again, this is too close to the session, so I'm not really looking to take any entries here. There's a market flow that's setting up, but it's going to be right at the session. So not exactly my type of entry. Even down here, it might be a little too close. So possibly on the next candle, if it bounces off the blue pivot, there could be a possible market flow because there's going to be enough space between here and there. But if it pushes up too high, like where it's currently at right now, probably not going to be the case because it's going to have to push through the sessions. So I'll see here if it comes down a little lower. It's probably not going to. It's going to have to close like way down here. Yeah, there's not going to be any entries here. Yeah, Rashida said, I want that sell signal to close. Yeah, same here. I'm looking for the same thing, Rashida, because that sell signal is kind of triggering, possible. Well, it's basically indicating a retracement needs to happen, which hasn't happened yet. Price retraced here slightly, but it's not a real retracement. It's more of a consolidation phase. Price pushed up, pull back right here. Now it's consolidating, right? It's not really a retracement like how we're looking for this. It's more like this. Price pushed up, then it came down. Now it's just ranging. We don't really like that, right? We want price to actually be moving directional. We want price to be doing this. Climb to the upside, not this. Consolidation is like the worst possible position to be stuck in because you might be holding on to that position for, 10, 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden the breakout happens and you have no control over your position. So another bounce off the pivot here again, like I said, if you guys want to take those entries where they bounce directly off the pivot, this one right here again, same situation, full TP. Looks like we're going into a range right now. So the range is currently between the 700 and the 600. So I'll mark it up here for you guys. Price currently ranging between 700 and 600 down here. So there's a current range right now. It's current range, the wide range, and then of course, within that area we have the smaller levels right there. I'll leave it as this so you guys can see the bigger range. But okay, we got price coming down right here a little bit. Got to be careful for the 7 o'clock news, guys, so just keep that in mind. It's like this could be a pretty big zone right here. So if price comes down any lower, this is probably where I'm expecting to bounce, somewhere within this area. So I think if price does come any lower, it'll probably, if it does come this lower, it's going to bounce off this area, come right back up. Just something to look out for if price does come below. Like I said earlier, I'm ideally looking for a buy here because there's a lot of retail on the sell side. Retail sentiment's currently 73% short. I don't really like trading with retail. If I need to, I will, but for the most part, this over here is where I'm expecting price to likely bounce off of. Let's see, William said his trading view is lagging. So I had issues with trading view lagging yesterday. William, what I did was I just restarted my computer and that fixed it. I mean, it's kind of a bad time to restart your computer, right? But if you want to fix it, I think that'd probably fix it. Unless it's your internet connection, it could be that too. Yeah, if you want to do a quick hard reset of your computer, that should probably fix it. And if that doesn't fix it, it's probably your internet connection. Thing is, I like never turn off my computer. I have my computer on for like months. I think the last time I turned off my computer was probably like 3 or 4 months ago. So I gotta get better at restarting my computer at least once a week. Yeah, no problem, Will. All right, so price is coming down slightly. Again, there's another market flow entry right here that just came up off the pivot 3. It's a little tricky because news price right there. Also because the volatility here is starting to slow down a little bit. So let me just mark up that zone again. Yeah, so you guys can see here where price is bouncing off of. It's that zone I drew earlier. So I don't trade supply and demand, but you can see there's a big candle here that pushed up. This would be considered, I guess, a supply and demand zone. I don't trade it, but I always hear people talk about it. I know how to identify it to some extent. And price is basically bouncing off that area right there. Hey, Stephen, morning. All right, so the volatility here is starting to get really flat. Not very much movement here. All right, so ATR is currently at 23. It's not necessarily super flat with regards to the entire market, but these current candles right here are pretty much flat. As you guys can see, there's not very much movement. Possible market flow entry again setting up right here off the pivot 3 if anybody's looking to take that. Again, I'm gonna look for price to push up a little higher, but at this point, the volatility is pretty low, and it's not really one of the type of entries that I'm looking for. The only problem if price does push up is that it's gonna push up and get close to the sessions up here. So it's going to be hard for us to get an entry here if it's like pushing up a little too heavy. So we have price sitting down here. Again, like I showed you earlier, this whole zone right here is where I'm expecting a possible bounce. Might not happen right now, might not happen over the next couple of candles, but somewhere within this middle area, I'm expecting a bounce. You can kind of see this as an invisible zone, basically. Basically, this whole area down here, it's an area of rejection. Yeah, Barack said, yeah, also taking that bullish push to the high. Hope it sets up. Yeah, I agree. Think that'd be solid. So I was looking back at my trades yesterday, guys. I kind of cut some corners with losses that I took yesterday because I would. So earlier this week, we were basically focusing on pivots 1 and 2 instead of like the overall trend. And I looked at my trades from yesterday. If I would have avoided those, then like I even put here in my notes. If you guys look at my journal, I put notes here. I put impatient entry, do not wait for full confirmation of trend. Irregular market volatility, all losses happen after 7. So I've looked at my trades for this month so far. This is probably our worst month. Well, it's not the worst month so far because we're halfway through, so I can easily make it right back. But just reflecting on my trades and my losses, basically all of our losses happen after 7 o'clock. And this is why I try to stop trading after 7. And on top of that, you guys can see my notes. I'll put my notes here if you guys ever want to check them. But basically, I was basically cutting corners with regard to the trend because typically I need the trend to be confirmed. And for this week, earlier this week, I was cutting corners. I was only looking at pivots 1 and 2 because I was getting a little impatient with the low volatility. But if we would have waited for the full trends to confirm, it would have been perfectly fine. We could have avoided, a lot of losses. So, I'm just being transparent with you guys. I do make mistakes and it's just part of the game. This is why journaling is so important because now I can see where my losses happen. Like yesterday, we took a trade at 643. It was perfect. It locked in, or not yesterday, on the 13th. We took a trade at 643. It won. Every time I traded after 7, it just started losing. So I know it's kind of hard because there's not entries before 7, or lately there hasn't been a lot of entries, but we'll have to see how this market changes. The thing is, we're in the summer market, so the volatility gets pretty low at random times. And typically that's after 7. So in order for us to properly execute this strategy, we need to, we need to have volatility in the market. So what I'll be looking for here is I'll continue to trade after 7, but I'm going to look for the volatility has to be there. I'm not going to trade when price is just going sideways. That's going to be one of the key things that I'll be looking for. Because whenever price goes sideways, not necessarily like this, but when it starts to squeeze in and it gets kind of tight, like a tight consolidation, in a situation like that, those are times to just avoid the market. It's okay if you don't have any entries. It's better to just hold off and wait for the volatility to pick up. Because that's what we've been getting stuck in this week. I think the consolidation is really what's been hurting us because I end up getting in a position when it consolidates and obviously a breakout happens after consolidation is done. And that breakout ends up pushing in the opposite direction. So yeah, just an update with, the market flows. This month, we're basically at break even overall. For this week, we're currently at 1 net loss. And for the month, we're currently at break even. But that's typical for summer markets. You guys have traded with me over the years. Summer markets are usually pretty slow. We either have like a slight amount of wins or we have, I mean, for the most part, break even weeks. Can't wait for summer to be over. This is our last summer month. So next month, September, we'll go back into full swing. And then we also have the elections coming up. Let's see, Barack said good for the day, not risking any more this Friday. Solid, Barack. Did you make some profit off that? I'm assuming you did. You caught the bounce that I drew up, right? So you guys remembered right here, I marked this up. I said price is going to bounce off this area. Did exactly that. Shot way up. This area is still useful, so can still be used as a zone of rejection. So you guys can see the range I drew here earlier. Price is still within the range. Bouncing off the 700 level and the 600 level right here. Nice. So Brock caught that bounce that I mentioned earlier. Made some pretty good profit off that. See what else we got here. Yeah, so Barack got out at 30 points because the high was too slow. Yeah, price isn't necessarily push up that high. Again, I'm looking for some possible pushes up here, but the volatility is just too low. Like I said earlier, I'll continue to look for trades after 7, but I'm not going to take it if this is the case or price just continues to go sideways. Right? I need to have some sort of direction. I got to be smarter about my positions. The losses this week have kind of just ate up into my profits for the month. So it's been a back and forth process, and we just got to adapt with the market. So I got to make sure not to pick corners. Got to look for the overall trend. I think I might just have to. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put some requirements in place, because for the market flow, there's not really too many requirements that we're following. I think we don't need a hard set of requirements, but we do need requirements when not to trade. So for example, like price is moving like this right here, sideways. This is a sign to not trade, right? This is a sign not to trade. This is a possible market flow that's coming up right here, but this would probably be a sign not to trade because the volatility is so low. The trade still hit, but I think that's kind of what gets us suckered into these positions. We got the sessions right here, so this is just not a good area to be trading in. I mean, it's going to be tough to take some buys here. Looking at this right now, we have so many red flags around this area. We have the London high right here. We have the Asia low right here. And then, of course, we have the New York high up here. So in order for me to take some trades, I can probably take some trades within the sessions right here between the Asia low and the London high. But once price gets past the Asia low over here, I need price to actually be above this area, which is fine because we have a big open space right here when price gets to liquidity. So we got high impact news coming up over here at 7 o'clock. It's Michigan consumer sentiment. This is probably why price is just flattening out. People are waiting for the news event to be released. We got the news event right here, 7 o'clock, Michigan consumer sentiment for August. It's forecasted to be positive, so slightly positive, not very positive, but slightly positive. So we'll see if that if that gives us any opportunity for entry here. All right, we got price pushing above the sessions right here. With price pushing above the sessions, if you guys want to take a market flow bounce off the sessions, that's a possibility, but not one that I would necessarily recommend. Again, I'd rather just avoid trades around the sessions than try and force something. All right. So I think this here is probably going to get stuck until we get news at 7 o'clock. Yeah, Sean said it's also getting stuck at VWAP. Yeah, looks like everything here is kind of lining up. It doesn't matter which indicator you're using or which tool you're using. Yeah, let's check the VWAP. Yeah, it's right at the VWAP right there too, like you said. It's not having any luck getting past it. So the VWAP here is going to line up with the limited high. So you can see there's a lot of confluences here. This is just not a good area to trade in. You guys are trading VWAP. There's an example. Not an example, but clear picture here that you can see that this price structure it's important because there's multiple tools that are showing that price is having trouble getting past it. I have the hard set price right here, but the VWAP is pretty solid as well when it comes down to identifying things like that. All right, there's a possible, there could be another market flow right here off the lower levels. I'm not going to take it, of course, but something you guys are looking for, possible. Market flow there if it swings back up. We finally got the buy signal. This would actually be a decent market flow entry. Let me see if I can maybe get in from here. I'll put a market flow right there. We have that level 4 down there.
Order submitted.
So it looks like it is filled. Is it filled? I don't know what's up with this now. Yeah, let me cancel it. For some reason, my orders are not filling today. You guys saw that?
Order canceled.
I had my order waiting there. It went right through it and didn't fill. This happened to me twice today. It happened with me with the first entry over here, and then it happened with me again right here. Unfortunately, I missed another good entry. That would have been 2 back-to-back wins. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, so I think I might have to just maybe even use these pending orders for some reason are just not filling for me. I don't know if it's because of my charts. Let's see if I can fix this because my charts are zoomed in. And now I can't zoom out. I just don't get it. All right, there's a possible market flow entry right here again, but it's gonna have to cut into the sessions. I'm probably gonna hold off on entries from now, guys, because we have news right here in about 5 minutes, high impact news. But I'm kind of curious. Here, I gotta reopen my chart. I'm gonna do that. I've been playing around with my chart because I've been zooming in, so it's easier for me to put my pending orders. But for some reason today, I put pending orders twice, and they just haven't been filling, which is kind of annoying because they both hit TP. All right, whatever. I just went back to my regular chart. I'll see if this helps. All right, we got news coming up here at 7 o'clock. Once the news passes, I'll start looking for entries. Unfortunately, so you guys have seen from today, I try to get in at this entry right here. You guys saw my pending order, it didn't fill, and I got a bunch of errors. And then again, right here, I tried to enter off this level 4 projection down here. And again, it didn't work. So go figure, today's just not my day. That'd been nice. So if I had 2 back-to-back wins like that, it would have brought me back to profit for the week, but it's all good. Look for the next one. I mean, if that's the case, then I might have to just go back to using, market orders. I don't typically like using market orders because I get caught in slippage a lot, but it's just really hard to put these pending orders when the volatility is a little too high. All right, we got news in about 3 minutes, guys. So we will we'll wait for that to pass, and then we'll look for some possible opportunities here. There's another market flow here. It's going to be based off the sessions, so it's not one that I personally recommend taking, but I do see people take trades off the sessions like that for market flow. Again, it's just up to your preference, right? There's a lot of different structures here where you guys can take market flow off of. You can take it off the sessions, you can take it off the levels, you can take it off the pivots. For me personally, I like using the pivots because it's more dynamic. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways to take it. ATR is currently 23, so it's pretty much normal slow volatility for the day. So now that we've kind of been getting used to the summer market, I mean, it's been kind of late, but now that we're kind of used to it, this is what I consider normal ATR. So normal ATR for summer market this year, at least, is around 23 points. Typically, normal ATR for summer market would be like 10 to 15, but this summer has been slightly different. So for this typical summer market, it's around 23. When it's around 30, that's a little higher volatility. That's it's a little better because there's some direction. But this is what we consider normal market for summer 2024. If you guys traded with me last year, the ATR was actually a lot lower. It was like at 15, like 10, 15. Because if you guys remember the MPS strategy that we used to apply, I mean, people still apply it. The MPS is still a good strategy. If you were applying the MPS, you'd have to have a minimum of 15 ATR. And it was like impossible to get an MPS entry because everything was always below 15 ATR. So you guys will see. And if you guys have traded with me for a while, or if you guys are new here, if you guys continue to trade with me every day, we typically look at the ATR and you'll see how the market shifts. So next month, the average ATR is probably going to be around 30 because in the fall, market picks up a bit. So it's slow in the summer, picks up in the fall, slows down in the winter for the holidays, and it picks back up in the spring. And then back to summer, it slows down again. So it's like a back and forth process. All right, we got news right here. So the news was positive, just like expected. Okay. So it was forecasted to be positive, and it is positive here. We can look for possible market flow entry if it comes back down. As you guys can see, price is getting trouble. Yes, has trouble getting past the Asia low right here. Same thing with this over here. Just has issues getting past that level. Again, another example why we avoid trades at these sessions. So we got the news reaction right here. We're getting some directional push. Price is now past the upper range right here. See if it climbs up higher. So if it climbs up higher, we have liquidity sitting up here. So there's a lot of targets up here for price to push through. Then we have the Asia high up here. All right, we got price climbing up a little bit. First target's going to be the liquidity up here. Pushes up any higher, it's going to be the upper level of session. So the Asia high, which is sitting above. Price is a little far from the pivot, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get some entries here. All right, looks like price should be past the VWAP now. Yeah, it's past the VWAP and it's up to the upper level now. So we got price breaking past the liquidity right here. There could be a possible levels entry that's showing up right here at this 750 mark. If it does close it above it. If not, it's probably going to sit around this area. So price just hit liquidity right there. You guys took either level of liquidity, full TPs already. There we go. This price pulls back a little bit lower. So this is also a breakout V3 continuation. Thanks, Rashida. There's actually a lot of entries here. There was two liquidities, so either level of liquidity hit full TP. And then on top of that, there was a breakout V3 continuation. It was at the sessions though, and it was on the news candle, so a little tricky, but if you guys took that there, another full TP. There's three different strategies that came up right here. Breakout V3 continuation, and two liquidities that were up here. So price is pulling back right here. Unfortunately, price is right in between the sessions. So if it does pull back and bounce off the pivot, I can't take that as a market flow. I got to stick to my rules. This week, I kind of went off track and I did bend the rules a little bit. But, my rules are to stay away from these red flags. So if you guys want to take some entries here, I'll mark them up as the market flows that they're coming up as. But I'm not going to take them myself because I learned my lesson from pretty much cutting corners this week with regard to the trend and with regard to avoiding a consolidating market. Yeah, Oscar said this was also a triple confluence, which it was. However, it was right at the red flag. So, and it was also the news candle too. So just a lot of red flags right there, but there was a lot of entries that came up. Triple confluence, breakout V3 continuation, two levels of liquidity. So about 4 entries that happened right here between these previous 3 candles. Yeah, there's a lot of entries there. A lot of entries, a lot of opportunity. Again, right here where price is currently at, this is just not a good area to be trading in. There's just too many sessions. We call this a session sandwich, right? I forgot who dubbed that, but we call this a session sandwich. It's not really a good area to be trading in because you can really get faked out in either direction. Price can come down to this session, bounce off it, come up to this session, bounce off it, come up higher, bounce off this, etc. So it's not a good area because you're kind of taking a chat like a really big gamble by trading within this area because you can get lucky. Like you can take a buy at some point. Like for example, if you want to take a buy off the sessions right here, yeah, you can get lucky. Price can just bounce off it, but it's not going to be a real strategy that you can follow because there's one of two things that'll happen. When price gets down to the session, it's either going to come down and bounce off it, or it's going to come down and blast right through it. So there's a market flow entry right here. It's going to be right at the sessions though, so it's a little tricky. Yeah, it's not a good area to be trading in down here. Let's see. Taran's asking, hey, Sean, my 1-minute YM chart on TradingView is totally different than yours. It's the same provider, CBOT. Not sure if I'm missing something or if I'm selecting the wrong symbol. So you're on the same symbol, right? YM1 exclamation. This is a continuous chart. You might be on a different YM, but if you're on this one, you should be good. If you just type in YM and you click on the first one, it'll bring you to this. The next thing that you want to look at, Taran, is look up here. See right here where it says CBOT? Is yours green or is it yellow? It should be green, and if you click on it, it should say market open. If it's yellow, it'll say that it's delayed. So you might be delayed. If you're delayed, it's 10 minutes behind. So that's probably why it looks different. So those are the two or three things that could kind of point you in the proper direction. So just check those things. See if you're on the proper symbol for the continuous contract. And I think this thing is probably going to be the main thing up here. Just make sure it's green. If it's not green, it'll be yellow. And if it's yellow, it'll say delayed. It'll say it's delayed about 10, 15 minutes. And that's probably why you're seeing it differently because you're probably seeing these candles way over here. All right, so we got price pushing up right here right now. Let's see what goes on here. So there's a market flow entry that's running right here. Again, not one that I'd recommend taking because it's right at the sessions. But I mean, nonetheless, it's a setup. This is going to be pretty tough for us to take some entries because there's just so many red flags. Like in order for me to take something here, I need price to be like way up here. Let's see, turn to the IC, it's green, but when I hover over it, says shows delayed. So there's a couple ways to fix that. For me personally, I pay for data on different providers, so I'm paying for data on TradingView, so it's always like proper. The other way to fix that is log into your Apex account. So I'm pretty sure you have Apex with Tradeovate, right? So if you click down here, mine says Tradeovate, but yours will probably say Trading Panel. Go down here and click on Tradeovate and log into your Apex account, and then it should give you real time. Those are two ways to fix the delayed time because you just don't have the proper data right now, the data feed. For me, I pay for data on like three different things. I pay for data on TradingView so that I have it on here at all times. There's never a delay. I also pay for it on NinjaTrader, and then I also pay for, well, it comes with Apex. So yeah, I kind of just pay for everything separate, just so that I know for sure I'm never on the delayed feed. Yeah, no problem. I know it's kind of annoying when that happens and you have to kind of troubleshoot. But if you guys ever run into problems, always feel free to reach out and ask because I'm pretty sure I've ran into the same issues and I figured out a solution to it. Been trading for long enough. I should have ran into all the issues by now. All right, so looking at this right here, if this candle closes green, this is going to be a V1 variation pattern. This is a reversal pattern. So if that comes up, it'll likely push back up. And hopefully we can get some sort of entry here. If not, then it's going to have to sit tight and wait because the volatility here is dying down a little bit. So you can see over here, price faked out. It pushed above the range based off the news, faked out, came right back down into the range down here. So you guys can see I haven't touched this range since market open. I marked up this range when market opened up over here at 6:30. I said this is where price is probably going to range for the day. The market's been like this pretty much all week. So if you guys have been trading with me all week, this is literally where price has been. It's been ranging and consolidating pretty much every day this week. And this is why it's been tough for us to take these market flow entries because we just get stuck in this range. Be careful for the fake outs. That's typically what I've been looking out for. Every morning I've drawn the range. And you guys can see how price will tend to break out of it, fake out, and come right back down to where it was prior. Doesn't really make a big difference. All right, so we'll see. If price drops below, that's completely fine. We can start looking for some possible sells here. Again, I need the trend here to actually confirm. So I need price to actually shift below. Like I need these pivots across below and continue dropping further from here. If I don't get that, I'm not gonna get in yet. This is kind of what burnt me this week. I was following the pivots 1 and 2 and I didn't wait for the trends to confirm and I just ended up getting caught in a lot of fake outs. So we will continue to wait here for the next opportunity. We got price kind of just sitting right there. All right, still waiting for this here to shift. Once it shifts lower, we'll go from there. So we got price kind of just sitting down here, bounced off the opening price, didn't necessarily break below. So we'll see if we get a correction back to the upside or if price continues to climb down. If we get a shift back to the upside, that's completely fine. We'll look for price to push up and then look for a market flow up within this area, hopefully. The market this week, I'm kind of glad that we're on Friday because I'm pretty much done with this market for this week. The consolidation and the ranges have just not been too beneficial for us. So I'm pretty much ready to have this week over with. And then hopefully next week will be a lot smoother. Let me check the news for next week. There's not really too much news. Next week is week 4, I believe. So we got the FOMC minutes on Wednesday, Fed news, jobless claims. So like early in the week, it's going to be kind of slow. We have not really too many news. We have the Fed, I think it's Fed week next week. Yeah. So we have Fed Waller speaking on Monday. We have Fed Bostic, Fed Barr speaking on Tuesday. We have the Fed minutes over here on Wednesday. So we have a Fed member pretty much speaking most of next week. And then we have just regular news events. So hopefully next week, as we get closer and closer to the fall, the volatility starts to move a little more consistent. As you guys can see over here, it hasn't been very consistent. The volatility kind of spikes up for a few candles and it dies out, goes flat for like a good 10, 20 minutes, then it spikes up again, and it just kind of goes flat. You can see it better over here on the clean chart. So right here on the clean chart, it's a little more visible. You guys can see there's no direction here. Typically in a normal market, you'll see some sort of bullish move. You'll see some type of move like this, and then it reverses, right? But if you look at the market for today, it kind of pushes up a little bit, retraces back, consolidates for a long time, pushes up, fakes out, comes right back down, and then it goes back into consolidation. We don't really like this type of market because we're trend traders, right? The way that we trade here, for me personally, we trend trade momentum. So we look for momentum pushes and we look for retracements and continuations. That's like the best case scenario. Like typically the market is going to move similar to that. This is like normal summer markets here. I mean, there's more volatility here than normal summer. Usually in the summer, you just see some like really slow back and forth, and then there's a spike, back and forth, and then there's a spike, and then back and forth. For this right here, it's a little more irregular because you see there's a big spike and a huge retracement, and it consolidates, huge spike, retracement, and then it just goes back to the same consolidation area. It's not like normal markets are like this. Like normal summer markets are, you'll see some consolidation like this. It squeezes and then it breaks out. And then you see some consolidation and then it either breaks out back to the bottom or it breaks out even lower. Like this is what you normally would see during the summer. So like typically what we would do during summer markets is we would just like wait for the squeeze to be done, catch a trade within the breakout. We see a V1 variation down here, we ride that up, and then we just wait for the squeeze to be done. And we do the same thing again. We see a V1 variation or a CV pattern, and then we ride that back down. But we don't really have that this summer. This summer it's a little more irregular. So, I mean, if you guys have been trading with me for a while, you guys know I've been trading live for about 8 years now. Every day for 8 years, I've been on this live session with you guys. So you guys, we're continuously following the charts and we know what's going on and we know these patterns here. These patterns here aren't very consistent with what's been happening, the previous summers. There's only a couple of summers that I know which have been different. So like COVID was obviously a crazy summer. The volatility was all over the place. The year after COVID, it was like basically post-COVID, so it was still moving pretty crazy. And then the year after that, it kind of slowed down. It just went back to normal summer conditions. And then here, it's a little unusual. It's not. So the pattern that I see here is that it usually goes back to where it was originally. So if you look over here, 6:30 market open right here down the middle, it'll kind of break out and then it'll just come back to this area. So if you look at this middle area right here, this is really where price ends up coming back to. You just look for price to break out, fake out, come back. So I mean, technically, I can come up with a strategy for this because all you want to look for is the fake out and correction. So I mean, I can come up with a strategy, but it's already almost towards the end of the summer, so it's not really necessary. But Yeah, I mean, this is kind of similar to looking for a CV pattern, right? You look for the fake outs and then you just find the correction back to the consolidation or the range. You see the fake out up here and it pulls right back into the consolidation range. So, I mean, there's no need for me to really change anything up because our strategies work. You just have to wait for proper conditions to kind of line up. But as you can see, this is how I come up with strategies. I look at how the market's moving and I can see patterns here. I mean, you guys probably didn't see what I saw, but I've been trading for so long that I kind of just these patterns come up in my mind. I don't even have to really think about it, right? Because realistically, if you just look at this from a bird's eye view, like you can see the fake outs. It's just price comes back to this middle area. And if you want to trade within this area, I mean, you can too. Like, for example, you guys see the V1 variation right here? Double body rejection, right? V1 variation, you could have taken the buy right there and then rode it back into the middle of the range. So I'm always going to find solutions, guys. So you guys don't have to worry about like being profitable trading because or looking for something that works because I'm always going to find something that works. It's just really understanding, is it something to stick to or is it something that is temporary? Like I think this here is temporary. I think this is going to be the type of market for this week. And then I think next week it's probably going to move a little more directional. So that's why I don't really change the strategies up too much. I know a lot of you guys are always like asking certain questions. And yeah, if you want me to make a strategy for you, like if you guys want to sit down with me one-on-one and you want me to create a strategy for you, I can create a strategy for you. It's not that difficult. There's a lot of different ways to trade. But for me personally, it just doesn't fit my criteria because I trend trade momentum. So, I've been trading the same way that I've been trading for the past 6, 8 years now. And it works. It's just you have to understand when not to trade. Like for example, this type of market right here, this is a clear example of like don't trade during this market. If you're trading my strategies, this is the type of market that you don't trade in because there's no direction. You need price to actually be moving directional for you to be profitable trading a trend trading momentum strategy, right? This is not trending. There's no momentum there. It's pretty much just flat. And like what Drew just said here. So Drew just said, this looks exactly like Wednesday. Same exact movement, right? The same exact back and forth range. And it's pretty much wiping out on both sides. On Wednesday, I was actually pretty smart. I didn't take any trades that day because we identified that it was pretty much wipeout Wednesday. That's what we called it, right? Wipeout Wednesday. It was, and if you look over here, it's more clear. So if you guys look over here, you can see you can get wiped out in either direction. Price can push up, you can chase the buy, and then price comes right back down to stop you out. You can chase price down here as it comes down, chase the sell, shoots right back up to stop you out. So you just gotta be smart. You guys gotta understand where your strengths and weaknesses are, guys. We're not I don't trade consolidation strategies. I have consolidation strategies, but I typically don't trade them. So if you do want to trade consolidation here, look for V1 variations. Like I said earlier, there's a V1 variation right here. You could have taken the buy and bounce in between the sessions here. Another thing you can look for is a CV pattern. So for example, over here, there's a CV pattern, right? Price pushed up, smaller red candle. You could have taken this right here for a CV. So there's ways to make profit in this market. It just depends on like what you're looking to pull from the market. All right, we have a possible, let's see, market flow entry that may come up here for a sell. Actually, I take that back. The trend here hasn't confirmed yet. So again, this is what I said earlier. I need to wait for the trend to actually confirm because this is what got me in trouble yesterday. I was taking trades in between these, like when the pivots were just crossing over, and I got burnt on both sides. So yesterday was a really tough lesson to swallow because that was my fault. Like the 2 losses I took yesterday, those could have been easily avoided. I got caught on both ends. I ended up getting wiped out. If you guys were on that live session with me, I took the buy, I got wiped out. I took the sell right after it, I got wiped out again. If I would have waited for price to just confirm and go back up higher, then I would have been perfectly fine with some wins. I think John took those trades that we were talking about with the momentum divergence, and they worked out perfect for him. But for me, I was just too impatient. And I just ended up getting caught. So, all right, Brock. So Brock said he's done for the day. I'll see you on Monday, Brock. Have a great weekend. We'll keep looking for some entries here, guys. It's 7:23. Like I said, I don't like trading after 7, but I'll try to find something here. There's another market flow that came up right here. Again, there's no confirmation of trend yet, so I'm not really looking to take anything at this point. And I'm gonna leave up that box that I had earlier. So you can kind of see. So I had that zone that I marked up earlier down here, guys. It's still valid. So you guys see that zone over here, the supply and demand zone that I drew up? It's still valid. So the price still comes down and bounces directly off it. Come back and take a look at that later. Again, price is still consolidating right here. I need price to really have some sort of breakout. I need it to break out to the upside, or I need it to break out to the downside. It doesn't really matter to me which direction it breaks out to, but I do need price to break out of this current area. Looking at retail sentiment, it hasn't really changed very much. Seems like the same people are holding on to the same positions. So yeah, and I'm looking at NinjaTrader. It looks even worse with it zoomed out. There's just no direction right now. So let me go back over here, go back to our clean chart. Yeah, if you look at this from a outside view in, you can see there's just no direction here. Price is still within the range right here. So we have the bigger range. This is the big range, and then this is the consolidation range. So it's still stuck within the consolidation range. Again, if I want to take some entries here, I need price to break out of this area and continue climbing. I need price to break below this area and continue climbing below. Doesn't matter which direction price goes. We just need price to break out of there and actually continue to move. All right, so we could have some possible market flow entries here now, guys, because the trend is starting to shift over a little bit. So if you're looking to take some sells here, possibly look for some market flow entries. It's not very heavy and it's not very smooth, but I mean, yeah, there's a possibility here. There is a possibility. I'm going to hold off on any entries until I see the market really moving. I'll start looking for something, but if I do see some market flows come up here, I'll show you guys. The trend hasn't fully confirmed yet. We need this red pivot to be above the other ones. So we basically need all the pivots below the red pivot. Once you have that, then we'll have a bearish trend. So there's a possible market flow setting up right here. Again, not what I would take because I need this red pivot to be above the other pivots. There's just not enough volatility here. So another market flow entry that's possibly setting up right here. But again, the trend hasn't confirmed, so I'm not going to take it. If price pushes down lower, the target price point is going to be opening price right there, the blue line. Volatility are super low. All right, so the trend here still hasn't confirmed. As you guys can see, I'm looking for this red pivot to cross above the orange pivot. Still hasn't done that. All right. We got price coming down lower. That same market flow that I marked up earlier over here, guys, it's still running. So this is the first market flow that I marked up. As you guys can see, the volatility is very low. But this is the market flow that I marked up from earlier right here. It hit the target price point, which is opening price. It's having trouble getting past it. Again, the trend here still hasn't confirmed yet. You guys can see because the volatility is so low. Each candle here is very small. So you can possibly expect a breakout to happen sometime soon. Price starting to squeeze right here. So expect a breakout in the next few candles. And that breakout is either going to establish the trend to the downside, or it's going to establish a correction back to the upside. I'm just looking at these pivots right here. I mean, really, these pivots here are making all of they're basically indicating where price is going to go next. So the divergence here already crossed over. We might have a correction back up, possibly. So I'm basically looking for the trend over here to confirm the divergence. So there's one of two things that are going to happen. The divergence here switched to bullish. So either the trend is going to shift back up and it's going to climb up higher, or the trend's going to stay below and the divergence is going to swing back down. So I'm just looking at these two of my indicators right here to identify, okay, what's going to happen next? Because the trend hasn't confirmed for a sell yet, and the divergence here hasn't really confirmed that it's going to continue climbing up either. So there goes the breakout candle that I was just talking about. Looks like it's going to solidify a sell here, or not a sell, but a bearish bias. Again, the trend here still hasn't confirmed, guys. I'm looking for this red pivot. As soon as that red pivot crosses above the orange pivot and it stays above it, and then the divergence here shifts as well, then odds of this dropping lower are very likely. So it's trying to shift. It still hasn't shifted yet. You guys can see right here, it's trying really hard. It's just not there yet. Yeah, Drew said might be a fake out. Price is currently below the consolidation range. This could possibly fake out and pull right back into the range. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm not looking to take any entries here yet. And Drew said trend of the week, right? Exactly. You know, one thing that I noticed though, like from yesterday's market, is that the trend did start to move in a direction after 7:30. It's 7:30 right now, so we might start to have some sort of direction here. Okay, so it looks like the trend here is starting to shift to the downside. Perfect. Now I'm going to be more inclined to take some market flow entries for a sell. So I'm looking for this to swing back up for a retracement and come back down. Basically what I'm looking for there. So it's probably not going to happen on this candle, but we'll see what happens next. Again, look out for the fake out, like Drew said. This price is below the area. Now it's actually below the range. So it's below the range even further. This is a levels entry right here. If anybody was looking to take that, price broke below the 600 level, came back to retest, filled the level right there, and now it's running in profit. So if anybody's looking to take that, that's a levels entry. Again, I'll try to call out the other entries as I see them, but I'm still looking for my market flow entries here. 632 right now. $632, we have some volatility, which is good. Go back real quick. So let's see if price actually breaks past this level. So if you guys remember the earlier level I drew from the supply and demand, it's actually breaking past it. So what you can look for here is a possible break below it and retest that area, continuation to the downside. Or it might just reject directly off the zone there. Check retail sentiment. Retail sentiment is actually picking up on the sell side, 74% short. Yeah, it kind of makes me not want to take any sells now at this point. All right, so we got price kind of bouncing out this area here. See if it actually breaks through. So it actually did break through right there. Went for that retest. So again, I'm looking for market flow to come through right here. Pretty far off. It's about 30 points from the pivot. So we got about 40 seconds left on this candle. Market flow is probably not going to happen on this specific candle. It might happen on the next one or the one after that. ATR is pretty low now. It's dropped down to 21. Earlier it was at 25. It's now down to 21. And here goes the volatility. So it's pretty much back to these dead candles. All right, so I don't know if we'll get a market flow here. The volatility is starting to get a little bit lower. There may be possibility over here for market flow. So I'll watch this if it swings up and swings back down. All right, I'll just put a pending order there just in case.
Order submitted.
I'll be watching it. 30 seconds left on the candle. It's not going to fill. I'm canceling it. We might get a market flow on the next one though.
Order canceled.
So I'm gonna look for the next one here. Possibly on this next candle. Push up a little higher. I don't like that there's a buy signal on this though. I want to push up a little higher. So it's pretty much away. So we got 30 seconds left on this candle. I haven't put my pending order. You'll see it get on the chart if I do put one on there. Or I'll put one right here right now. I'll probably cancel it because I don't think it's going to come down. It's got 15 seconds. It's got 10 seconds. And it's probably not going to fill. I'm just going to cancel my order. All right, so we are back to our consolidating market that we just talked about earlier. Not really expecting much here to happen. Ideally, I'd like that buy signal to come up, then I'd like it to come back down. So I want the buy signal to actually close. Once it closes, then I'll look for it to come back down. So I want the signal to close. Once it closes, I look for it to come down, retest, and drop lower. Drew said literally whipped up the whole 15-minute candle. All right, let's see. Yeah, literally the whole candle, right? All right, so there goes that. So I think price is going to be bullish. If you look over here on the 30-minute, price actually is bouncing off the pivot and it's swinging up pretty high. So everything is still pretty much bullish on the higher time frames. 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, pretty bullish. The 1 minute starting to climb back up. Same with the 5 and the 10 over here. So the lower time frames are still bearish, but the higher time frames are still bullish. So this might be a case where price might climb on its way back up. 7:37 right now. It's getting closer and closer to 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, we just don't have any entries here yet for us to take. Yeah, there's not really much here to work with. So let's see if it comes back down. Yeah, Drew said should have wrote it back some range. I know, right? So we have a break in retest right now, currently off the level. So we'll see if it comes down or if it comes up higher. Looking at the current trend right now, it's still bearish, guys. So I mean, there's still a possibility for opportunity for a sell here. So I'm not gonna be done looking for a sell yet because there's still opportunity for it to come back down. It's not there yet, but we do have the opportunity right here, possibly. All right, perfect. So we got that buy signal I was looking for. This is exactly what I wanted. So I want the buy signal here to confirm the retracement. There's one of two things that'll happen now that we have this buy signal. It's either going to continue climbing and it's going to be a full-on reversal back into the range, or this is just going to be a retracement and it'll come right back down from where it's currently at. So that's what I like about having these momentum signals is that they act as a catalyst, right? So for example, right here, when this buy signal came up, this was either going to be considered a retracement or a reversal, right? This was actually just retracement. Retraced up, came back down super hard. We had the sell signal right here, came right back down further from there. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the retracement. I'm looking for price to come back down, provide a sell signal down here, and then give me opportunity for entry to take this down lower. So if this here acts as a retracement, then I'm looking for this to come back lower and drop from here. There was a market flow entry that came up right here, guys, currently running in profit. It's off the higher level. I wouldn't necessarily take it. It's kind of risky when it's off the buy signal like that. And again, we're just getting some flat candles here. We got 20 minutes till 8. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep looking for my opportunity here. It's not there yet. I'm still kind of pissed that we missed those two trades this morning. There was two good trades this morning that I could have taken. That would have brought me back up. So that would have been nice. But I just got to deal with it. All right, so we have a possible market flow entry coming up right here, guys. On the next candle. Not this one, but the next candle. I'll be looking for it. So I'll let this come up a little higher. Trace up a little more. I don't know if we'll get the entry here. Might happen on the next one. So no retracement on this candle here yet. All right, so we got my pending order right there. It's probably not going to fill.
Order submitted.
Let's see, we got 5 seconds on this candle. I'm going to cancel it. It's not going to fill.
Order canceled.
Okay, it might be another one right here. Put my pending order there to wait in case it comes
Order
back down.
submitted. Order filled.
All right, so I'm in the position right here. The entry wasn't
Order
exactly where I needed it to be. I moved this up a little bit by 1 point. All right, so we'll see if the volatility picks back up here. Volatility is kind of low. It's low and it's consolidating again. I was hoping for the sell signal to push it right back down, but it's kind of just flat right now. Got stopped out. All right, so this week again,
Stop filled.
not a good week for us. Two net losses for the week, not horrible, but not great. I think this is the first red week we've had in a couple months now. So it's all good. You know, these red weeks are they happen, and you have to be able to withstand them. We can't have a green week every week. So unfortunately, two losses for this week net. And we're currently, I think, one net loss for the month so far. So let me put this over here in the profits or losses, I guess, for this week. Hopefully next week we have more entries before 7. I think I might just cut off at 7, like what I plan to do, because the volatility here is just not, it's not enough for us to take these entries. I wouldn't be surprised if this year ends up coming up and then coming right back down. But yeah, entry happened right here at 742. And let me add this to the spreadsheet for this week. All right, so let's see where we are. Nice. So Oscar over here said he took a buy off the 5-minute demand zone, stopped out in profit. Solid. That's good. So looking over here, here are my stats. So I'm going to be transparent with you guys, of course, so that you guys can see, you know, we're not always going to have like great weeks and great months, but the key thing here is that you don't trade on tilt. So I took one loss today. It was a half risk, which is a $500 loss. Not really a big loss for me. So it doesn't really affect me too much. The thing here is if you start to get, you know, revenge, you want to revenge trade and stuff like that, that's typically where you start to trade on tilt. So this week has not been the greatest week, or the greatest month in general. So looking back over here at July, so for July, we had basically a 63% win rate. We had 165 points in profit. For this month so far, we're currently just one net loss. So it's not super bad. It's just this week kind of ate up a lot of my wins. So you can see over here, I took 2 losses yesterday. I took 2 losses and 1 win on Tuesday. Monday was pretty decent. We made some pretty good profit. But as you can see over here from the losses, and I'll put notes over here. Volatility with low, spike stop loss, slightly after entry. And I'll put notes here so that you guys can see like what happened with these specific entries. But yeah, for the most part, you can see over here, a lot of the losses happened after 7 o'clock. Like basically every loss that happened this week was after 7. We had some wins after 7 as well. But if I would have just avoided all the 7 o'clock trades, we would have had 1 trade for this week on Tuesday, which would have been a win. So it'd be a net win for the week. Of course, we just have to adapt with the market, but that's just how that's how the game goes. So let's see if there's any other questions that you guys have, you know, feel free to put them in the chat. Currently at 2 net losses for the week, so it is what it is. But we'll pick back on this next week. So next week, again, let's check the calendar real quick. I'm glad that there's no news on Monday. So we might have a bit of a slow market on Monday, but it's going to be a lot smoother. So slow but smooth on Monday. On Tuesday, same thing, no news. So slow but smooth. And then Wednesday, same thing too. So I think Wednesday is going to be pretty flat because the FOMC minutes, a lot of people are just going to wait until the minutes come out. So Monday, Tuesday, I think will be smooth but steady. Wednesday will be probably flat, and then it'll pick back up on Thursday. We have we have initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, S&P Global Services PMI, basically inflation news on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have new home sales. And then Powell's also going to speak at 7 o'clock. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, you know, feel free to put them in the chat right now. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. It's currently 7:47 right now. So we got about 13 minutes till 8. As you can see over here, this is, again, the reason why I don't like trading after 7. But unfortunately for this week, we just had to. There's no volatility. There was no entries we could have taken prior. So again, this is a market that we typically don't want to trade in. And you can see price just faked out down here. And it's pulling right back into the range. So same market conditions pretty much all week. Fake out, pull into the range, fake out, pull into the range. I really thought price was finally going to drop from down here, but it didn't. It ended up faking out and then pulling right back into the range like we anticipated. So. All right, guys, I think this is going to be it for the day and for the week. Unfortunately, this week didn't close out the way we wanted to. Just going to brush this off, come back next week fresh, and bounce back from this devastating loss this week. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I make it seem like it's bad, but it's really not that bad. It's just I'm not used to losing, and I'm not used to seeing red on my screen. But we got to bounce through this. So. All right, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up for the week, and we will come back here on Monday for market open. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, have a great week.